This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of No Other Pod. Technically, a hashtag victory pod. It's a double pod.
It's a half. It's a half of it.
Hashtag halfway victory pod.
Hashtag half Vic.
Half Vic. I'm Jimmy. He's Dan. What's going on, my friend? How you doing?
Doing good, man. I'm exhausted, but tech week wrapped up, opening weekend wrapped up, so we got the week off. Life is good.
Okay, I was going to say, it's not like you're busy with all sorts of musical theater performances.
What am I saying? I don't have the week off. I just got cast in another show, my friend. I'm going to be in Jersey Boys.
Yeah, you are Mr. Jersey.
Do you know? No, it's not. I'm the guy who wrote most of their hits, most all their hits, really. So yeah. I get to sing their most popular song in the show. Oh, what a
There you go. That's awesome.
It's pretty fun.
And we all know what that song's about.
We all know that song, and in the show, it takes place with my character, Bob Gaudio, being 15 years old or something and losing his virginity.
Yep.
It's wild time, but I get to sing that shit, so that's fun.
That's pretty cool. I love that song. I've seen this show, Jersey Boys, when I was in Vegas. It's the only musical in Vegas. And the thing, I had never seen another musical in Vegas before or after, and the thing that confused me a little bit, and it makes sense when I thought about it later, is in Vegas, they don't give a shit if people are sitting down, seated, ready to go. If the show's starting at 7:30, it hits 7:30, the lights go down, the show starts. You go to like a Broadway show, they say it's a 7:30 curtain or whatnot. Usually, give or take a couple minutes, they dim the house lights, warn you, give you a second to get seated. Nah, Vegas, they were right into it. But it was great. I loved it.
It's pretty dramatic, too, man. Like, the songs are great, obviously. It's a jukebox musical. Yeah. But it's a pretty dramatic show, and of course, for community theater here in town, we got to cut all the F-bombs, which there are about 72 F-bombs in that show, so that'll be interesting.
That's fun. Well, that'll be a good one to see. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one.
So, lots of soccer to talk about, lots of interesting stuff. Also, I don't know if you've read it, but another really interesting Kansas City Star article from Sam McDowell that gives a little bit of insight into maybe why Sporting Kansas City and particularly Peter Vermes have been struggling. So I kind of want to dive into that a little bit, get your thought on some quotes.
That's fine. I mean, have we recorded since Peter was on record saying like they're going to look for us to be spending more than we have?
There's been kind of like a couple of different instances where he has said that, but they did formally introduce the new sporting director, and he talked about it more there, and then he talked a little bit about it more with Sam McDowell. So, some good, interesting quotes to talk about for sure.
Sure. It's all kind of boring, if we're being honest, but I can't wait to really break this down.
But there were some tidbits in there that I was like, ooh, I'm not trying to necessarily make excuses for Peter, but there's some stuff in there that's a little spicy.
Yeah, but saying something like we're supposed to, we're going to spend the most we've ever spent, I'm just kind of like, I would hope so.
But that's not.
Absolutely hope so.
We'll get to it. There's a detail in there where I was like, ooh, I feel like that wasn't public information before now. So that's interesting.
Little digs, sure.
But we did have a new 5-star rating and review. If you have not yet left us a 5-star rating and review, please go ahead and do so on Apple Podcasts. But let me go ahead and read this one here. Forgive me if I pronounce your name wrong. I think it's Dohn09, DOHN_09. 5 stars, of course, as expected. It's titled Great Work. And they say, so this is my second season being an STM, and I had gotten another for my dad so we can hang out and watch games together. He used to be a big Liga MX fan back in the day, but now he's starting to come over to the Sporting KC side, thankfully. And the good thing is we can enjoy the games whether we win or lose. But your guys' recap and breakdown / point of view are really enjoyable to listen to and make this season a lot more bearable / enjoyable. Keep up the great work.
Nice. That's all I've ever wanted to do, man, because obviously the team's struggling. Because if I'm not having fun doing this, people ain't having fun listening to this, We're
bringing families together.
Yes.
Bringing fathers and sons together. It's all us. It's not the game of soccer.
I love it. Game. Yeah. It's all about family, dude. We're like Fast and Furious around here.
Yeah. Family. Well, thank you, Dohn09.
Yes,
and like I said, if you have not yet done so, go ahead and leave that 5-star rating and review because we'll go ahead and read it here on air. But it's been a minute since we've recorded. We're obviously recording this on a Monday night instead of a Sunday because there was a Sunday night game for Sporting Kansas City. was a very busy soccer weekend. Chris Wright became the first man to ever score a goal in CPKC Stadium.
That's my guy, dude. You know, he scores goals, dude. Was it a banger or was it just an easy one?
I mean, he drove it low through a crowd and into the left side of the net. So
he's got a boot. He doesn't always take the shot. When we played together, sometimes he would pass before shooting, and I said, stop. I said, you need to be selfish, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was hard to get a shot off because, we thought the Sporting KC media games were crowded when they were like 17 on 17. This was listed as 26 on 26.
Are you serious?
There was 52 people that were rostered to play in this game, and I think the vast majority of them showed up. So,
oh no,
yeah, it was a very crowded game. But Chris, he got the lone goal. He got an interview. He got quoted in a press release.
Was it just 1-0? That's what it ended up.
1-0, one goal, the game winner.
6-minute game
in a 6-minute game with Roger Espinoza as the referee.
Oh my goodness!
They were going to interview Chris up on the big screen in the stadium, but we didn't quite have time. So they got him in the hallway in the back for some quotes. So
oh my gosh, how was he? Was he a total pro?
He was great. He said he plugged. They didn't put this in the press release, but he goes, "I plugged the pot. I plugged KC Sports Network." So yeah, he tried to get that in there. He was great.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, good stuff. It was a fun time, and then obviously the sporting game Sunday. So we're recording Monday night, but I don't even think we recorded since. The U.S. men's national team hosted Uruguay at Arrowhead Stadium.
Man, it's been a long week, my man.
It has. And, that was an interesting game to be at, albeit did not turn out the way that many people wanted. And who knows, by this time tomorrow, when you're listening on Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever you're listening, we'll see if the U.S. men's national team still has a soccer coach.
Well, we're hearing things, right? We're hearing no.
It would appear that the probability of Greg Berhalter continuing to be the U.S. men's national team coach is very low.
Yeah.
So we shall see. There's a lot of people speculating that Jurgen Klopp could be the next manager. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's not going to be Jurgen Klopp. I don't think he's going to take this job. I wouldn't take this job if I were him. He doesn't need it. Take a year off. He wants to coach club football, I think. I don't know. We'll see. I think my fear is that the crazy U.S. men's national team Twitter fans, and there are a lot of them, are just building up their expectations to a Jurgen Klopp or bust manager signing. And I just don't think
that's tough, man. I don't either. But it's coming any day. I mean, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. It's if it's not going to be Tuesday, it'll probably be Wednesday. But since we're releasing this on Tuesday, we're probably going to have breaking news that comes out on a Tuesday. So that could be U.S. men's national team breaking news.
No doubt.
So, but let's talk a little bit before we get into the games, because there's multiple games to talk about. Sam's article was titled "Sporting KC pledges to spend more. Here's what that means and when it'll happen." I'm not going to read every single thing in here. It's a good article. If you have a KC Star subscription, obviously you should. It talks about Mike Burns and his new sporting director title. We did get confirmation that Burns will report to Peter Vermees, not the other way around. So still a little interesting tidbit there. And like you said, they talked about Sporting Kansas City has paid $15 million total in transfer fees over the past 16 years, and they expect to eclipse that in the next 4 years. We'll see. Like you said, talk is cheap. We'll see how they act, because there was some information in here that even when Sporting signed Alan Pulido and Gadi Kinda, that Peter had more budget to spend and it was not spent. But this is the part that I thought was very interesting. There was a budget that was set leading into the Alan Pulido and Gadi Kinda signings. Vermees had that budget, spent barely half of what ownership had approved. This is the part that stood out to me that I'm curious what you think. Quote, "Since the COVID-affected 2020 season, which prompted a financial reset, Sporting has operated without a short or long-term budget for incoming transfers, instead asking Vermees to request approvals on a case-by-case basis. That handcuffed transactions, whatever you think of who should be in charge of the operation, this much is true. If you don't know what the next move can be or whether it will be approved financially, it's a bit more difficult to pull the trigger on a current move," end quote. And that's the part that I think really stuck out to me, and I don't think I've heard this before. Can you imagine, like, I'm sure you and Marissa have somewhat of a budget in your household where you know this is how much we can spend on fun stuff, etc. If you had zero budget and you had no idea of, like, what am I allowed to spend, what am I not allowed to spend, then how are you supposed to know if you can go out to a $300 fancy dinner or you can go to, Saturday morning $5 movie?
Yeah.
I just can't fathom a world in which a sporting director of a soccer club just simply has no idea, am I allowed to spend $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, and how am I supposed to scout if I don't know?
It's unfortunate. I mean, you hear that and you're like, really? I mean, it just seems very handcuffed, and I don't know, man. I wish we could just take the cuffs off and have a little fun, because it's not something we've ever done.
Right. And, the biggest signing in the history of the club, Alan Pulido, has had his moments throughout his time here, but obviously a little, disappointing this year after signing the contract extension. Like I said, I'm not necessarily trying to make excuses for Peter Vermes, because I think there's a lot that could have been managed differently. But when so much of the problem, I think, really truly does boil down to roster construction, I'm starting to think that, well, yeah, if he's been slowly and subtly taking, not jabs at the ownership, but saying we're still working on a budget, still got to know what I can spend, I just feel like it may not have mattered who the coach was. It may not have mattered who the sporting director was if they simply had no idea of what they were allowed to work with. Where are you supposed to send your scouts? Who are you supposed to spend your time trying to convince to come to Kansas City if you're going to get to the finish line and ownership's going to just be like, nah, too much.
True.
So,
yeah, very true.
Well, like you said, talk is cheap. We'll see if it actually happens. They're talking a lot right now. I guess we give it some time to find out. Doesn't sound like we're getting a designated player this summer. There are 2 TAM, targeted allocation money players, that they're targeting, one for this summer and one for the winter, it sounds like. And then there'll be 2 DP spots that open in the winter too. So we'll see.
Well, I mean, it's a later thing, right? I mean, we're not jumping to it right now, and it's like, damn, that sucks. It sucks we can't, get after it right now and try to make a push here this year, but it feels like we're supposed to just be content with what's going on the field.
Well, even Burns in his press conference, he said something like, we don't got a lot of space to do stuff this summer, maybe a player.
Yeah. Which is probably that Gotti Kinda filler,
Yeah. And so, okay. And honestly, if we get a TAM player, awesome. That's a quality, that's a starting caliber player. It should be. And, there's a number of positions they said they're targeting. It could be attacking midfielder. It could be a winger. It could be a central defender. Because let me tell you, every time Andreu Fontes is in the game, I am not having a good time.
Dude, I got to tell you, though, if they dribble right at him, the man's one hell of a defender. But if they dribble around him and scorch him, oh, boy.
Or if he decides to step up the field.
Yeah. He'll get smoked. He'll get burnt. But I tell you what, he gets some stops. He will take the ball from you if you're in front of him.
Yeah,
but if you go around him, done deal.
He'll take the ball, and then he'll think he's a striker and run straight up the field for 70 yards.
That's true. But it's very true.
So, I don't know. I just, maybe it is more boring than I think it is. It's this budget inside look into the operations of the club. But I just found it a little bit illuminating that they gave that much insight into, what? We have been giving bottom quartile budget and expecting top quartile results, and we can't do that. That's not sustainable. So
no, I mean, good. I'm glad they acknowledge it. So I guess we'll just wait and see what happens.
I just hope it's not too late for a lot of people, because I mean, the way they're talking, like, okay, yeah, this might take 2 to 3 years to fully do that, and it feels like we're 2 to 3 years into the struggle bus of Sporting KC.
Not everyone's like us. Not everyone's going to stick around no matter what. There are people, and it's within their right, that are just going to be like, nah, dude, I don't got time to commit to watching you once or twice a week. Like, I'm not interested.
Did you see the South stand? They were flying the Sporting KC flag upside down on their capo stand.
I did not, no.
Yeah, which is like, if you fly a flag upside down, it's the signal for distress. So
gotcha.
it's sort of like we're flying the sporting flag upside down, signaling we're a club in distress.
And we are. But I mean, we obviously, everyone knows we picked up a nice little Sunday night victory, and that felt good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a drop in the hat for what we need.
Right.
But I gotta tell you, man, I'm all in on this Open Cup situation, dude. That's where I am.
It's gonna be good. Let's take our break here, and we'll come back. We'll touch on the Colorado game. That one sucked. We'll spend a little more time maybe on the Dallas game and go from there. So we'll be right back.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
I gotta tell you, man, I wear heels in this show I'm in for probably more than half the show, very long time. And my ankles and stuff are really feeling it on my off day today. And my buddy who plays my roommate in the show, he bought me a break a leg gift, me and Marissa. Marissa's crewing the show, by the way. She's backstage.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty neat. She's my personal dresser with my quick changes and stuff. But he bought us I swear to God, dude, it's like the Cadillac of all foot massagers. It's stationary and you can tilt it at an angle and your feet go in it, and it will pressurize and vibrate and heat and even sway your feet back and forth.
Okay.
This man hooked us up. I did it today, and it was an experience.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, it is. I want everyone to try this damn thing if they come over.
Well, that's awesome. Is this the first time you've had to wear heels in a show? Or ever, I guess, for that matter?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've all tried on our mother's heels when we were children.
Sure.
But yes, this is the first time I've had to actually be a person.
Was it hard to learn how to walk in them?
No, not really. I mean, my balance is spectacular. You're never going to outbalance me. But it is the fact of getting them right and the toes at a point, like it's pretty uncomfortable. So,
I was gonna say, it doesn't sound fun.
Dude, I went to Walmart and I bought like toe caps, toe wraps. I got this whole thing, padding. It's ridiculous.
Okay. You're serious about it. So that's good.
You got to do it. The costumer bought me flats. She's like, just in case you can't handle the heels. And I was like challenging off. I'm not going to do the flats. Like, why would I do that?
Like, my feet will be bleeding and I'm not going to change out of them now.
Take the easy way out. I don't need some schmuck in the audience being like, he didn't even commit.
Right. Yeah. It's, well, that's awesome. Glad it's going well.
Don't spend much time on this Colorado game here. I'm going to get mad. But I need you to breeze through this because it's a piece of shit and it ruined my holiday.
Well, it was the night of the 4th of July, and I'm super glad that this was a road game and not a home game, because if I would have taken my ass all the way down to Children's Mercy Park to watch this game on the 4th of July and it ends the way it did, I would have been very frustrated.
Did you do anything on the 4th, though? Did you do anything?
Not really. I mean, I watched the game. My neighborhood, they were shooting off all sorts of fireworks around us, so you see what the kids are doing out front. I mean, my dog doesn't freak out necessarily in fireworks, but she doesn't love it. So
it's triggering. It more sounds like someone's at our front door when there's these little bangs, and my dogs are like, who is here? Answer it already.
My mistake that night was I forgot to let my dog out at like 7:30. And so then it got to like, 8:39 and the fireworks were really starting to pop off, and she's like, I gotta go pee. So I tried to let her out. I took her out on a leash with me because I was like, she's gonna freak out. She took like 4 steps out, and then a big ass firework exploded right next to our house, and she was like, absolutely the hell not, get me back inside.
Gosh.
So, but we made it.
It is what it is, man. The worst is people, shooting them off at midnight or whatever. That's where it's like, come on.
Like, come on now.
What are we doing?
It's not even the 4th anymore. It's now the 5th. What are we doing?
True.
Yeah, this Colorado game, I mean, there's a little bit of a rotation, but, we had gone into this one thinking, okay, if you can get 4 points out of these 2 games, maybe a draw probably in Colorado and a win back in Kansas City against Dallas, that would be good. I mean, it's been a while since we've won in Colorado. It's a tough place for us to play. And, if you look at sort of how the game played out, Colorado had the majority of the possession. They had the majority of the shots. Sporting Kansas City, really didn't have all that much success creating things. However, that didn't mean that when they came back out in the second half, that Sporting Kansas City didn't look the better side for a bit. And it was Johnny Russell with the very intentional and professional assist by Eric Tommy, who put Sporting Kansas City up 1-0 in the 48th minute after Tommy kind of whipped his shot in the box.
I was like, you're being sarcastic, right? I don't remember this.
No.
But it worked out, man. Johnny finished clinical. Looks like he was born to do it. Nice to see him getting on the board and doing that kind of stuff. But feels good, man. Colorado's a good-ass team. And they showed it, too. They were pressuring us for a good while in the game. I was like, damn, dude, they're bound to get one in. So we were lucky to score.
Yeah, I felt pretty good at 1-0 because I'm like, okay, it's second half, 1-0. I honestly, I was like, park it. That would have been fine. Park the bus and see what happens and just try to.
We never do that.
Muck up the game and get out of there 1-0. Worst case, get out of there 1-1.
Everyone does that.
It's just, it doesn't, I mean, Peter's always been sort of like a high intensity, pressing kind of guy. And there are some times where he'll do it, but I don't know. I don't know if he just feels like it's disrespectful to the game or what. But, honestly, sometimes I don't give a shit. Just park the bus, just boot balls out of there, make it difficult for them to find anything. How many times does that happen to Sporting? Where we're trying to come back from, down a goal and other teams just put 10 guys in the box and they're like, get through the wall. You're not going to do it.
Pretty much.
So, I don't know. We didn't really do it. 69th minute. Colorado gets a set piece, and of course, it's going to come off a set piece. Tim Leibold, or was it Leibold? It was either Leibold or Volader. One of them just kind of lets their man go, and Larraz just gets a free header and kind of freezes Tim. Maybe Tim should do better to it, but he didn't see it till late, and it became 1-1 in the 69th minute, and I got a little nervous at that point. I was like, 22 more minutes plus stoppage feels maybe a little bit less likely than I was hoping that we're getting a result here. But,
yeah, 100%.
And then sure enough, made it all the way to stoppage time. Stupid amount of 8-minute stoppage shown, which is a bummer. And, it's just, there was a Colorado attacker gets behind the back line. Tim comes off his line. It's a heavy touch, and Tim just clears out the attacker. It's a penalty. It's no argument from me. And then Georgi Mihailovic steps up to the spot, and Tim can't quite get there, and that was that. In the 94th minute, 2-1 Colorado. Tim guessed the right way, almost got a hand to it, just couldn't quite do it.
Yep.
She wrote. So was a pretty big bummer. The press conference after the fact was not fun. Johnny Russell, said, we're scrapping for points. We need them desperately. We can't let them slip away that easily. And I mean, it just kind of feels like every time you drop even a single point on the road, not that it's likely we're going to score, make the playoffs, but every little point that slips away is, less and less likelihood that you can mount a miraculous comeback. So,
I mean, we're in July right now. I mean, it's crazy, dude. We're in trouble. The ship's sinking, and we're just trying to throw water out. But more is coming in than we got buckets to throw out.
Yep, for sure. And then there was a 3-day turnaround to now you're playing FC Dallas at home 3 days before they're going to be back again at home for the Open Cup.
Arguably FC Dallas 2.
Yeah, that's a good point. There was quite a lot of rotation for Dallas. There was quite a lot of rotation for Sporting Kansas City in some ways. But yeah, Dallas, they didn't play a number of their starters, Leggett, Peter Musa, Paul Areola.
They all subbed in later.
They subbed in later when they were chasing a goal, or chasing a couple of goals. But Sporting went back to that 4-2-3-1 we've seen a couple times with Alan Polito underneath Agata, and that made me nervous because Alan Polito in that midfield spot really hasn't worked out all that well this year. But I was interested to see Memo and Jake in the midfield together. That's not something we had been able to see yet.
Man, I have no problem watching Memo on a regular basis. This man is one of the hardest workers on the field. I enjoy him.
Memo has been truly, I would say, the unexpected surprise of Sporting KC this year. When they signed Memo, I thought, okay, yeah, he's a good depth piece, I didn't think that we'd probably be talking about him as a consistent starter or a really key piece, but I think he's got 3 goals and 7 assists now on the year. He's got more assists than anybody else on the team. He's the tied for the 3rd leading scorer on the team. You would have told me at the end of the year Memo had 3 goals and 7 assists on the year for the entire year. I would have been like, damn, okay, that's a pretty productive year. Instead, he might reach 5 goals and double-digit assists. And
possible.
He just the thing.
Yeah,
Memo,
6 assists. Is that what you said? 6?
I don't think they've updated the stats online. I think after the game, I think they had said 3 goals and 7 assists. But maybe
I was just reading the recap. They had
is it 6 assists? Okay, well then maybe I'm wrong. Either way, I mean he's on his way to a very productive year for Sporting KC.
I'll tell you something. We're not known for getting goals off set pieces. At least we've kind of struggled.
Mm-hmm.
But we're tied for 3rd in the league with 10 goals off set pieces. So that's an interesting stat there.
Memo already has set a career high for assists in a year. Let's just go with 6. Before this year, his career high for assists was 2019 with the Houston Dynamo at 5. So I mean, he's played 18 games and he's already set his career high.
He ain't done.
He's not done. He is so good on set pieces. I mean, corners, the ball he whips in.
I know it's not, it's a team game. Obviously, we're not playing tennis here. This isn't swimming. So we don't just look at these individual numbers, but it's easier to look at the individual numbers when your team is not doing well in league play. So it's like, hey, let's take a look at this. This is some good shit happening.
Well, and honestly, even outside the numbers, if you just take like the eye test of like you're looking at players in the field and you're like, okay, who is somebody that no matter what's happening, they're working hard, they're getting in there, they're consistent. And I could argue that Memo has been the most consistent and the most reliable player for Sporting KC all year long. Maybe some other players have higher ceilings than Memo, but they also have much lower floors. Memo is just consistently good, consistently pretty good. And I think that there's value in that. The first goal that Sporting Kansas City scored in this game in the 11th minute, Willie got skied over everybody. He was like 2.5 feet higher than anybody else on this corner kick. But it's a Memo perfectly placed ball that allows Willie to score and take the lead in the 11th minute.
It looked so easy for Willie Agata to be doing this. Like, it's just, this is stuff they practice on a daily basis. And Willie's like, this is my game. This is what I do.
Yeah.
And it can't go without noticing that Agata's back. I mean,
he looked pretty.
Polito's a new midfielder, and Willie Agata's scoring braces.
I mean, it's at this point, I don't see how you can, reliably put Alan Polito starting at striker over Willie Agata. It just Willie.
Why would you?
In more day, and the knock against Willie this year was he hadn't really been finishing as well. He was getting chances and shots, he just wasn't finishing. He finished in this game. I mean, he got that goal off the Memo assist, and then 11 minutes later, this was just a really pretty team goal. Shallow, he finds Leibold, who finds Elenis Vargas out on the right side. Elenis, little bit of a rough touch, but then just an absolutely beautiful chip into, again, Willie Agata, who probably had the easiest header of his entire life to give him a brace.
Normally, a winger like that is going to put it hard and low across the face of the goal, and that defender is going to block it because he was in the right positioning. He slid. He should have blocked that pass, but he chipped it right over his leg and just put it right on the forehead of Willie. That's a young kid doing big kid things.
Yep. And Peter had very high praise for Elenis after the game. He's like, he's starting to develop his game more. He's starting to see it's a little bit more than just putting a ball over the top and sprinting. And the touch on that ball was gorgeous.
It's very wild. I mean, you watch it, you watch the highlights where the camera's a little close up, it's a little different than seeing it in real time.
Right.
It's pretty beautiful.
And what was so great about it too is if you look at the runners, you had Alan Polito near post, you had Willie Agata far post, and Daniel breaks off and runs to the penalty spot, so you had someone back. 3 runners, 3 different spots in the box. That's the type of thing Sporting's been missing. he had 3 different opportunities to try to find somebody in the box. So really, really cool, good work there by Elenis. Did you know that Omar Gonzalez was still playing in Major League Soccer in the year of our Lord 2024 as defender for FC Dallas? Because I did not. I thought he surely had to have retired a long time ago.
Not really. I sometimes forget Paul Arriola even plays there. Just a weird situation. I mean,
well, you know who didn't forget that Paul Arriola plays in Dallas is Zoran Basong.
Zoran Basong. He said it with his whole chest.
We'll talk about that in a minute. But, going through this game, 2-0, flying high, 23rd minute, feels great. If Willie's going to make a mistake, it's, this one in the 29th minute when he just passes the ball directly to Kamunga from Dallas. And then a comedy of errors going to happen. Jake Davis, unintentionally scorpion kicks it, and then it bounces around. Ultimately, it was classified as an own goal by Tim Melia, and they get one back.
Insane. What was happening here? It was a giveaway by Agata, or who gave that away?
Agata just passed it directly to FC Dallas.
Directly to them, and they're off to the races. You can't do that. You can't, dude. Your defenders hate you.
Oh,
in that moment. You are a piece of shit to them.
And
they're not happy with you.
I have genuinely no idea who he's trying to pass this ball to. There's nobody there.
But this is that thing, though. It's dude, Willie got his back. And then it's well, he's still got these certain things.
Yeah.
He's still got a little something going on.
Well, and what's so frustrating about Sporting is, first off, I'm watching this highlight. I cannot believe they gave this as an own goal to Tim Melia. It's not an own goal.
It's not.
But Sporting does this. This is what they do, is the goals they give up are from stupid, unforced errors. And again, it happened there. And then Musa comes in the second half, and Kamunga heads the ball downfield. Fontes is too far up, heads the ball perfectly down to Paul Arriola, and then it's just a little easy tap in after a couple more passes from Musa, and suddenly it's 2-2 in the 65th minute. And at that point, I was like, we're going to lose this game.
What an amazing header by Fontas for the other team. It was insane. I was like, you played it directly to them. But I said the same thing. I was like, we are going to lose this game. This is bad. Here they come. That header. He just looks so dumb.
It's so perfectly placed in the exact spot.
Oh, it's horrible. And it's the easiest goal of this guy's life. Something I liked, though, at the beginning of the game, and let me give a little credit to Tim Melia. I think that Jake Davis Caden Pierre wanted Tim to play it fast when Tim had the ball. And Tim did one of these, told everyone to get down the field. Why did Tim do this? Because he recognized that pressure was coming.
Right.
They were really piling it on, and Tim's like, I got to slow these bitches down.
Yep.
Caden did a little frustration thing, he was ready to go fast, and it's like, hold up there, young dog.
Right.
Tim knows what he's doing a little. He knows a thing or two, all right?
I've noticed that Tim has made a concerted effort to play it out of the back less and send the ball down the field more, which I appreciate, because for a long time, Sporting would only play it out of the back, and then they would immediately pressure us, and they'd give the ball away again. So I'm all for Tim, making that strategic shift. So,
dude, it goes without saying that Willie Agata is maybe my player of the game for these 2 headers. He almost had a third header, a quick flash header, dude, that the goalkeeper had to save. Can you imagine a hat trick on 3 headers?
Oh, yeah, no, he had a really great shot. He had a chance at a hat trick. Daniel Shallowy earlier in the game fired a laser off the crossbar. That was a hell of a shot. So, is Willie Agata your holiday distillery toast of the match, you think?
That's interesting, right? Because, you kind of want to be like, okay, Memo came up clutch, dude.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even get to this third goal yet. I
was waiting for.
The goal gets blocked and kind of takes a bounce out to Memo, and he hits it on the bounce, and anyone who's ever kicked a ball off a bounce knows that it's going to give it extreme velocity, and it goes side netting all day. Goalkeeper pooped his pants. He didn't know what was happening.
This looked like a FIFA goal. This didn't even make sense. Willie tries for the shot. It gets blocked, and then Memo on the half volley. I have never seen a shot go on a rope that straight.
Amazing.
It didn't. There's an angle from behind the goal where you see it come. It doesn't drift right. It doesn't drift left. It is on a line, and the skill to not have that just go sailing over the net, keep it down and on target. Unbelievable.
I could not be part of the celebrations. I could not be bothered. I'm over there in that southeast corner flag, and I'll tell you why. Because Eric Tommy came over and was pumping us up. He was pumping us up.
He was wild. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. Memo Rodriguez, he's my holiday distillery.
Memo, right, with the assist and the goal.
It's got to be Memo.
It could go either way, though. I'd be honest. It could go either way.
Both Memo and Willie made the MLS team of the match day, and deservedly so. But Memo for the goal, for the assist, and quite honestly, just for the consistency he's shown over the year, for the way he and Jake bossed that midfield in the double pivot. Peter had great things to say about them. Memo Rodriguez, holiday distillery, toast of the match.
There you go.
So, he scored in the 82nd minute, and then, just got to get through stoppage time. There's 5 minutes of stoppage time, and we get to like the 93rd minute, and you're like, okay, surely, we close it out here. There's nothing else crazy that's going to happen in this game. There's just a minute and a half left. It's going to be fine. And then Paul Arriola decides, Zoran Basong is standing right in front of me on a throw-in. What if I bounce this ball straight off his face at point range? And Zoran did not take too kindly to this.
I had a front row seat, dude. All this happened like over on my side. It was insane. Me and Marissa were just like, what is happening? And people are standing up, and Paul Arriola is dead. Apparently, he died. He just laid there holding his face where nothing hit his face. So I'm like, what the
Nothing
fuck?
hit his face.
Unbelievable, dude. Why is that the thing to just go down and hold your face? Are you taught by the early years of Gordon Bombay coaching to just go down and fake an injury?
I mean, Zoran, he got a straight red card. It wasn't even a second yellow. It was a straight red card.
Arriola sits up like the Undertaker, just laughing. And I'm just like, I'm mad here because can't this be reviewed later by disciplinary committee, and they will see that there was no one even near for Paul Arriola to throw that ball into?
I was arguing with a friend of mine who's a Dallas fan earlier today.
Oh, and you're friends with this guy?
So there was three of us in the conversation. One was a Dallas fan, one's a Seattle fan, and then there's myself. And this guy was like, I don't understand. I said Paul's probably going to get a suspension or at least a fine from Disco when they look back. And the guy goes, Why would that happen? Why? He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't break any laws. And I was like, well, you threw a soccer ball in a man's face at point blank range. That's not within the laws of the game. And he goes, what's the difference than someone trying to take a quick free kick and then a defender steps in front of it? It's the same thing. That's all he did.
A little more discretion.
He was just trying to restart the game. And I was like, Paul Arriola was not trying to restart this game. Paul Arriola was trying to make a point by throwing a ball directly off a man's face at point blank range. And even the Seattle fan came in and he was like, there is nobody on this planet who thinks Paul Arriola was trying to do anything other than throw a ball off a man's face.
Also, I got to tell you, I'm with you on this, but in no way am I defending what Zoran did.
No.
Because he didn't need to get all up in his face and chest bump him like that.
Red card deserved. He's probably going to get an extra game suspension on top of it. And I'm not.
Zoran should have played. Zoran should have played the game and went down and held his face because he had a reason to hold his face. You hit me in the face.
That's all you got to do. And then Paul probably is getting a red card.
Yeah, probably.
It's
one of those, dude. Sorry, when I was younger, oh my God, my brother would antagonize me and I would clap back, dude. I'd hit him or something and I'd get in trouble. Yep. And I'm like, do you know what he did? And she's like, I don't care. Mom's like, you did it last. And I was like, how is that fair? How is that? How does that make sense? That's all negated? Like none of that matters?
Right.
Bullshit, dude.
No, it doesn't.
Bullshit. No one stands up for the big brothers. All about the little brothers getting all the freaking love.
No, I mean, it's like what happens in wrestling all the time. Someone gets hit with a chair and then they try to retaliate with the chair. The ref turns around and is like, you're out of here. And he's like, you hit me in the face. That's
that Eddie Guerrero shit. See, I would make a chair noise and then fall down. I'd be like, oh, he hit me. I swear to God.
Yeah. But no, Zoran's going to get an extra game probably on top of it. Paul Arriola.
Paul get something?
I think he's going to get at least a fine. I mean, this was not. He can say I have plausible deniability. I'm just trying to, restart the game. But this man looked to his left, had an open Dallas player right there, said, you know what? No, I'm going to turn. He looks like he makes eye contact with Zoran and just goes, wha-bam, right off his face.
Dude.
But it was funny because after the game, we were asking, Peter about it. Peter was like, I haven't seen it, but it should be a red card. I don't understand why it's not. And Memo, he was like, you know what? we're always going to defend our boy. We're going to get in there. We're going to help him. And he was like, he probably knows he made a mistake, talking about Zoran. He's like, yeah, emotions ran hot. He knows he shouldn't have done what he did, but right or wrong, you got to defend your boy. You got to get in there. So they were ready to scrap.
Something no one else saw was Johnny over there. I was close enough to see his face red as hell. He was ready to murder for Zoran. Like it was crazy. I was like, oh my God, look at Johnny.
Is there anybody on the team that you would want to make angry less than Johnny Russell?
No. Look at his beard. He's looking like a regular John Brown defending the Constitution or whatever. It's crazy.
Right. I mean, that man.
That guy's name? John Brown?
Sure.
Do you know your Kansas history?
I don't know.
Why would you know your Kansas history?
I didn't learn. I can tell you all about, the missions of California.
Sure. Tell me about the gold rush and all that.
Junipero Serra and San Juan Capistrano, but I can't tell you anything about Kansas.
Tell me all about that Santa Barbara architecture and whatnot.
Right, exactly. It all stems from the Spanish missions spreading Catholicism.
Abolitionists. There you go. Nick Springer's got Googling, so good stuff.
There you go. Hey, maybe Nick just knows it off the top of his head.
Of course he knows off the top. We all know it. We grew up in Kansas. We were taught this shit.
I don't know.
I didn't know the word.
How to make crop circles.
What? That's alien stuff.
Yeah, but it happens in the fields, right? I don't know.
We don't make them. Aliens make them.
Well, do they?
I think so.
That's the thing that they say, but I'm not convinced.
Springer, he held out. Producer Nick over here really held on to that 7th grade history class. That must have made an impact on him.
He knows his John Brown history. That's the type of stuff that would win you at like pub trivia. They're gonna be like, who was the abolitionist who murdered a bunch of pro-slavery people? And Nick will be like, John Brown.
Dude, they did a freaking Ethan Hawke played him in a show on Showtime. It was crazy. He was a crazy man.
You know what I could tell you? I could tell you that Nicolas Cage tried to steal the Declaration of Independence. That's my history that I know.
God. Okay. And also things happen when museum is our after hours.
Yep. And weird things come to life. But Sporting wins. And the interesting thing about this is 3 days later, Wednesday night, Dallas will be right back playing at
I can't wait.
Park in the
because Zoran will be there.
He can play. Peter's got to start him.
You better start Zoran. You get in there and you better push some bitches.
I mean, there might be some fireworks Wednesday because no matter what.
No, the 4th already happened. No fireworks.
Whatever decision comes down from Disco, it does not apply to the Open Cup because it is not within MLS purview. It's a U.S. soccer tournament.
That's right. So, don't tread on us.
So Zoran and Paul, I just, you know what? Honestly, for the content, I kind of want fisticuffs on Wednesday night.
Kind of want some punches. Why? Because he would murder Paul Areola. He would punch him in the chest, and Paul would be like, my face.
Yep. It would, Zoran, he went in there strong, so we'll see what happens.
He's about a foot taller than this little mouse, okay? What's going to happen?
But it did seem like both teams intended to sort of rest the majority of their starters, at least until the second half, looking to Wednesday's Open Cup game. It's the quarterfinals. Sporting KC's hosting. They have hosting priority for the semifinals if they win. You're 3 games from a trophy.
3 games. It's insane.
Yeah. And
it's wild.
Willie, after the game, he's like, we asked him, like, what does it mean? He goes, oh, it'd be so good. Like, people like me who've just never had a chance to win a trophy. Like, it would be so, I was like, man, sad.
I'm going to cry. God damn.
I was like, we got to get Willie a trophy.
That's all I want now. Justice for Willie. That is sad.
Get Willie a trophy and let him, paint the wall or something. Can you imagine how happy Willie would be? He's just so happy when he scores goals. If he gets to lift the U.S. Open Cup, I mean, he might cry. He might kiss Peter on the mouth.
The mouth.
He kissed him. I hope after he scored his first goal. Who knows what he's going to do if he gets to hoist a trophy?
I'm fine with it. Let's do it. Mouth kisses for Willie.
Mouth kisses for Willie. I'm looking forward to this. I think Sporting's going to win. I'm just calling.
Oh, Jesus. Dagger to my heart. Don't say it. There's no way. I don't think that. I'm a little nervous about it, my man.
Okay. Well, I called the red card right in the current Orlando Pride game. That didn't get the Jimmy curse of saying something that wasn't going to happen. So
what do you mean you called it right? You said there'd be a red card?
Yeah, it was like 3 minutes into the game or something like that, and I was like, this feels like a game where somebody's going to get a red card. Sure enough.
Look at you. No surrounders over here.
I know. It was like, so I got multiple people in my mentions. I was like, it was the reverse Jimmy curse. He finally got one.
Oh my gosh. The reverse curse.
For remembering me.
Dude, if it happens, amazing. But you know how much sweeter it is to just expect disappointment and then you'll never be disappointed like that. It's so much easier. You guys try it out. It feels nice.
That is true. And one more thing before we keep going here. I do want to give Peter Vermes his flowers. The win against Dallas, 200th regular season win in his coaching career. Only 2 coaches have more regular season wins than Peter Vermes in the history of the league. It's Bruce Arena with 262 and Siggy Schmidt with 240.
I was going to say Siggy. I couldn't place Bruce Arena. I forgot. 2
legends of the game, and Peter's right there. And, we'll see if Peter sticks around through the remainder of his contract, then he might have a chance to get up there and challenge Bruce. We'll see.
Yeah.
So you're not feeling great about the Dallas game on Wednesday?
You think they're not going to have revenge on their mind? You think their starters aren't ready to go? I mean, is it time for Chip the keeper?
We can do it right now. Let's, we got the Dallas game coming up, and then we got the San Jose game in San Jose on the weekend, and they're worse than Sporting. So that's the context for Chip the keeper stats here.
That's good context. That's a good little backstory there. I love this. It's like Chip's column. So everyone get excited. You got a drink of water. I'm good to go. Chip says, Sporting Kansas City has come away with a win, but the big question I know I had, and everyone else as well, was who we were going to start against Dallas in part 1. The thing that was most interesting to me was that going into that game, Dallas had a grand total of 30 goals scored. Among their starting mids and attackers for Sunday's game, only 2 of those goals were present in that squad. Keep in mind, though, that Peter Musa, subbed in at the 57th minute, has 11 of their total goals, including one of his last night. This was Sunday. It's enough to say that I think Wednesday is going to bring some heavy hitters on both teams. I got to cut in. We don't have heavy hitters. They kind of played. We saw them. I don't know who.
I mean, Willie, kind of. Memo? Kinda?
Yeah, I got it. I mean, yeah, we didn't rest our heavy hitters, but I get what he's saying. The concern I have is that this game on Wednesday is going to be SKC's 4th game in 12 days. Mm-hmm. Our legs have to be tired, and I hope we have a rabbit we can pull out of our hats. One of the saving graces of this, though, is that Dallas has had games on those exact same days. So both teams should be tired. Mm-hmm. At over 1,700 minutes played and a goals per 90 of .68, Musa can score goals, so we should be ready for him to come in. Keep in mind that his .68 goals per 90 combined with playing over 1,700 minutes shows the skill. For SKC's attackers with at least 1,250 minutes played, the goals per 90 is .29 for Johnny Russell, .2 for Alan Polito, and .12 for Daniel Shalhoub. We are getting our own bit of a superstar in Willie Agata, who is sitting at .58 goals per 90 with just over 1,000 minutes played. This is also Willie's second brace since June 19th, so I think Willie is showing himself to be a weapon to utilize. Sad to say that we've had such success with Agata, while Polito hasn't had a goal in regular season since the end of April, and Shalhoub hasn't had a goal since May 11th. Mm-hmm. Especially given that Afrifa and Vargas both make $71,404 in guaranteed compensation for the year and combined for the same number of goals as Polito and Shalhoub combined, who make $3.6 million and $1.3 million in guaranteed compensation, respectively. I say rotate the lineup a bit more. The 581 touches... I think he had a cutoff sentence here. That doesn't make sense. For the Dallas game on Wednesday, SKC is likely going to face Dallas's first team, putting a lot of juice into the Open Cup. In the regular season, Dallas has been suffering a bit, sitting at 11th place in the West compared to Sporting's 13th place. Assume that from here on out, Open Cup games are going to be ones the teams are fighting for and putting stock into. But no rest for the weary, because on Saturday, Sporting KC heads out to face the Titans of the West, the San Jose Earthquakes, who are in similar shoes as us. The Quakes have only 1 win and 1 draw in their last 10 matches and are 6 points behind Sporting's lock on 13th place in the West. While Sporting has struggled this year with defenses holding a line against them, which is a negative 11 goal differential, San Jose has fallen asleep on the struggle bus and have missed their stop. They have a negative 26 goal differential, which is the worst in MLS this season.
Chip's a rider, man.
Look for us to really score on San Jose this weekend. This San Jose team has had a total of 56 goals scored against them this year and have struggled a bit on offense as well. They're 11th in the West for goals scored. San Jose has been average in terms of the number of different goal scorers this season at 11, which is right down the middle average for clubs in the league, but none of their goal scorers have netted more than 5 goals for the season. Amal Pellegrino has 5. All in all, I don't like how condensed our schedule is right now, but playing San Jose could be a bit of a blessing. With this team, I'd say that no points are given and there are no handouts. Even though San Jose has been on the receiving end of some harsh fixtures, they did just remove their head coach on June 24th, so this could also be a wild card, especially since San Jose won their last game at home against Chicago. But the road for us does not get any easier. On Wednesday, Sporting Kansas City will be playing their 4th game in 12 days, but it's only going to get worse from here. Between June 29th and July 20th, Sporting Kansas City have 7 games and then a long international break. Rest is going to be important as it all comes to a close on July 20th when SKC hosts St. Louis at Schiller's Mercy Park.
Whew.
There you go, man.
I feel like I need a cigarette.
It's goddamn. Dude, I think it's interesting that they just continue to get scored on. Mm-hmm. I also find the interesting fact that they did just fire their coach. So trap game much? I mean, very much possible. We'll just have to see.
We'll see. I mean, it's MLS. It's a road game. No points are given, like Chip said. But what I will say is, people make fun of me because I still, I tweeted something that was like, if Sporting KC wants any remote prayer of somehow making the playoffs, then they got to do this. And people are like, we'll stop talking about the playoffs, which, like, yes, I know it's unlikely. But I'm just going to say, like, if they want to keep talking like there's mathematically a chance, which technically there is, here's what they got to do. And I would say in this situation, you got to go to San Jose and you got to win. This is the worst team in MLS, arguably. And if you're going to steal some points, and which you're going to have to steal points to make up this gap, you got what? A 10-point gap they got to make up in 11 games, I think. You got to win some road games, and this is a prime road game to win. So go do it.
But really get these points, man. This Open Cup game Wednesday is at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock on Wednesday, 9:30 on Saturday. Pretty exciting stuff, man, because then it's another Wednesday game next week and then another Saturday game. And so we're rocking and rolling.
Rocking and rolling. We'll be rocking and rolling without a couple of players, though, for a good portion of the end of July and into August, because 2 Sporting Kansas City players were called up as alternates for the U.S. men's Olympic team. John Pulskamp and Jake Davis did not make the initial roster, but they were one of 4 alternates who were named, along with Josh Atencio from Seattle Sounders and Johan Gomez from Eintracht Braunschweig. And so that means that both Davis and Pulskamp will be traveling to Paris with the Olympic national team, and they can be added to the active game day roster up to 8 hours before a match if there is an injury. So, and
now their first game is July 24th.
Mm-hmm. That's before the opening ceremonies.
When would they leave?
It's a good question. I haven't seen any sort of reporting on when the team will leave. I mean, I'm going to guess he might be with us through the San Jose game, and that's probably it.
Yeah.
I mean,
pretty neat. I didn't really know that these guys were even in the conversation. I had heard Pulskamp was getting a look.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know Jake Davis was in the conversation. This is cool, man. Something else is interesting. Men's Olympic teams have to be 23 years or younger, right?
Correct. They get 3 overage players you can add.
3. What about with the women's team? There's no age, huh?
Nope, no age, yeah. So it's pretty much the standard
that?
U.S. women's national team. It goes back to, I think, amateurism rules that they were trying to implement into the Olympics, and the women's national soccer team sort of were developed later, so those rules weren't added. But yeah, no, you can have 3 overage players that were added, and so that's where Walker Zimmerman, Georgie Mihailovic, and Miles Robinson were the 3 players that were over 23.
Why wouldn't Pulisic be part of that?
I mean, they're not gonna call in those level of players for the Olympic team, probably.
Walker Zimmerman, come on, put some respect on Walker's name here,
especially coming off of the Copa America. I mean, it's not typically that caliber of player. who comes in as an overage player with the Olympic team. It's a player who, could still play and is a good player and can provide some leadership like Zimmerman can. But I mean, I think Pulisic would just be on another level compared to the rest of. I mean, I guess you could be like, why wouldn't Portugal call in, Cristiano Ronaldo? And
that's what I'm talking about. When I see Olympics, man, I want the dream team. I want, you got LeBron going over there. Jordan was playing back in the day. Like, that's what I want for soccer too.
Yeah. So it's just a different set of rules. I don't think a lot of people have a lot of hope for the U.S. men in this Olympics, but
yeah,
I'll be watching them and rooting.
But they made it, and they haven't made it for a long time.
They made it, and that's better than they've done in the past. So shout out to, I mean, you don't wish injury on anybody else, but if Jake or John could somehow get into a game, Jake probably has a little bit better of a chance because he can play defender, he can play midfielder, he's a little bit more versatile. Shout out to them. That's awesome. And hey, at least they're staying on the national team radar. So
yeah, very true.
That's about all that I have for this week. You got anything else for our good listeners?
No, I don't. Let's get that. Oh my God, let's go to the Open Cup semis.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
There was so much that happened this week. We didn't even have time to talk about Money in the Bank.
Listen. CM Punk, man, get him out of here. Get him out of here. He just keeps ruining this man's life.
Love it. It's so much fun. I think I sent you the tweet, and it was like Drew McIntyre has no choice left, but just he has to shoot Phil.
Got to shoot him. That's it. I mean, dude, people's microphones kept getting blown up at the table. It was ridiculous.
It was wild. I mean, the women's ladder match was one of the more insane matches I've ever seen in my life.
The men's was insane too. I mean,
Carmelo
Corey Graves at one time, Corey Graves was like, oh my God, he's dead. Just dead.
Chelsea Green fell 3 stories through 2 tables.
Listen, see, go ahead and say she ain't shit. When you take a fall like that, that's a worker.
Yeah. So it was a good time. One of the better. Our friend Chad Smith, he used to be an AEW fan. He saw me checking in on some WWE stuff, and he's like, "Oh, I haven't watched in a while." I was like, "If you haven't watched in a while, this is a good PLE to get in on and watch. It was fun." And he goes, "Okay, I'll do that."
So, enjoy your AEW. That's not as fun.
No. So, but anyway, thank you all so much for listening. Make sure you leave us that 5-star rating and review if you have not yet done so. We appreciate it. We'll read it here on air. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NoOtherPod, at Dan Kooser, at JCMac03. Send us an email, nootherpod@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube, KCSN Soccer, or on the KC Sports Network app. But until next time, he's Dan. I'm Jimmy. We'll catch y'all later. See ya.
Oh, my face.